Good morning. Good morning. We are live. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, action. So today we are here, as always, each and every week to bring you different tools and different supports to help you get through whatever challenges or whatever blocks you have going on. And that's why it's called Mindset Reset for Wednesday, right? Whether or not you're just seeing me or you're watching every week, it gets you back on track. Or if you're already on track, it reminds you, confirmation, I'm already on track. This feels really great. And so what I do is I come on here because I myself have dealt with anxiety. I have dealt with depression. I have dealt with ADHD, dealt with a lot of negative thinking. Even though I am confident, I'm running my own business, I'm doing, life, I have a great marriage. It all takes work. It doesn't just happen. And sometimes you might look on at somebody else and go, man, I want that. And you think that they just got it. But you might not see all the steps that they had to take to get there. Or you're like, I'm doing all the steps that I can do. I don't know what else. And so what I do is I come on here each and every week to bring you tips and bring you tools that you can literally practice during the week. And my goal is to help people realize that they're not alone in this, help people to realize whether they're feeling especially confident, but perfectionism is getting in their way, or whether they're feeling like they've got a lot of self-doubt and various negative thinking that's got them down. Either way, it's got you blocked. It's got you stressing. It's got you not being able to move forward. It may have some results where you're not creating what you want in various relationships, and you're just not sure how to break that down. And so that is what I do. And I want to make sure to bring you these tools each week so you can be practicing, whether you're working with me or not. I want you to have these free tools. Now, please do share this because there are others who also need to get this information, and not because they need it like they're broke, but they need it because it feels like it's breaking them, and they don't need that. They don't deserve that. They shouldn't have to suffer with that. So you just go ahead and click on the share button and get that information out there, because we tend to think that because we see it that everybody sees it, but that's not the case. All right, cool beans. So as you are sharing that, I am also going to do the same. So you can also actually go to where you see the share button, and you could share it to groups. You can also share it to your storyline. You could share it in every different direction. So I want to make sure that that gets out there. So what are we going to be talking about today? Today, we're talking about how to be able to create that balance in your life professionally and personally. And a lot of times we think, oh, well, that it has to be a perfect balance, the wheel of life. I do work with that with my clients. But the idea of balance, the concept is that the wheel needs to be straight, meaning straight in a circle, straight around. But there's going to be stuff that works out. It's not always going to look like a perfect wheel. There's sometimes where we have to put more time into this area, and this area doesn't need that amount of time. Or we put that time during the day and this time during the evening. So you don't ever have to get into a space where you're judging yourself. I'd like you to think about that balance as harmony, right? When you're listening to a song, how does that harmony sound? You don't hear the guitar all the time. You don't even hear the singer all the time. You hear the ebbs and the flows of the different variations of instruments, different variations of sound. Even sometimes you'll hear silence. And so when you're thinking about harmony, you're thinking about how that ebb and flow of the instrument sounds really good. It makes the whole thing come together. Giving yourself permission to create harmony in your life with your business and your personal is giving you this space to realize everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to align up the same all the time. So it gives you this space to go, oh, okay, I can shift into here and shift into here. And so today I'm going to share with you various tools, but it's also about the mindset as we're working with tools. All right, let's take a look here. So the very first thing I want to share with you, and we're going to be taking these step by step. So you can take notes on this. Let me see here. Sorry about that. I lost my place. All right, so what we're taking a look at is how we're going to be able to get very intentional about our time. And this is both personal and professional, but you want to be able to separate the two, right? So how am I intentional first about my personal time? How am I creating an effective planning? How am I setting these realistic expectations for myself? And I emphasize that realistic. Now, a lot of times I have worked with clients who they have things in their calendar, but they have another list. So my calendar is the appointments that I have, but my other list is my to-do list. And sometimes they collide. And sometimes I can't see where I need to fit this in. Take that planning to-do list and put it into your calendar. You can call it various things. You can call it your self-care time. You can call it in self-care like your eating, your snacking. If you need to take a 10-minute break, right? Include those in there, because if it's not in your calendar, most likely it's not going to happen. So that way you can actually see my to-do list, it's bigger than the day. So then you'll begin to see and have realistic expectations by visualizing it versus how you're able to do this list and this list separately. A lot of times we're doing something and we just don't think about it, and that's okay. So include those to-do lists on there. The other thing, guys, is take a look at your to-do list. You may have it labeled as one thing to do when it's actually a project. It's actually 4 or 5 steps of things you need to do. And so that'll help you to break it down and see, well, when I make this call, it may take 5 minutes, but it also may take 20, depending on what's going on. So you give yourself a little bit of leeway. You're not going, well, I need to call the doctor and get the prescription. You need to call the doctor. You've got to wait on hold. You've got to figure things out, ask questions, do different things. Then you have to call the pharmacy, and then you have to get the medication, or that's just an example of things that need to happen. Now, the other thing that you can allow yourself to do is there's various apps on the computer or on your phone. These apps are really helpful. For me, what I do is I just set alarms. I don't get into extra apps. That to me is another thing. I have ADHD, and so I have to really keep things very, very simple. The more things I've got going on I need to check, the more I can get lost. So if that works for you, that's really awesome. You can use your task list in Google Calendar. That's a reminder. You can use the alarms on your phone, which is totally what I do. I put them in my calendar, and I also put the alarm on my phone. So I've got the visual and I've got the auditory reminders. So those things both help me. If there's anything I do need to remember, then I keep moving that. If I don't get it done that day, it shifts over to the next day. If that keeps shifting, then you get to check in on your mindset. So this is the third thing, checking in on your mindset. If you're procrastinating, then there's something that has to go on there. And the idea of procrastination is there's something you're resisting. You're not lazy. There's nothing wrong with you. There's some resistance, and we get to take a look at what is that resistance that's going on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take a drink here. That's my lemon water. The other thing to allow yourself to do as I'm talking about things, look at how much time it's going to take. And if you always are seeing that you're not putting enough time, add 10 minutes more. You want to really time block appropriately, because there's us being super people, right? We think we can get stuff done in a certain amount of time, and we're not being realistic with ourselves. And that's essential. That is essential, because then if you're highly critical, either in a perfectionistic sense or in a, I'm not good enough because I didn't get these things done, either way, they're going to end up giving you the same result, which is, oh, man, taking the wind out of my sails. I didn't get where I wanted to get to. Dang it, I missed that, missed the mark. And so that can actually pull away motivation from you. It can have you feeling like, oh, well, maybe I'm struggling with this. What's wrong? When really there's nothing wrong. You're just not time blocking it appropriately. Make sense? Stay focused on that mindset. That's real important. And if there's any of these things that you guys are hearing from me and you're seeing, I am definitely struggling with that, or that really works, put it in the comments, message me. I want to know how I can help you with additional support. Each week, your questions move me to what topic I'm going to be addressing. And if I don't get questions, it's really what I'm seeing out there, what questions people are asking, that moves me forward, because I see this as a general question that people keep asking. I want to be able to address your questions, especially those of you who are in my group. I really want to acknowledge you guys for stepping into taking care of yourselves. And so my group, the Relief from Anxiety and Negative Thinking, it really is a place to allow yourself to just share what's going on. Allow yourself to get tools, allow yourself to just feel more supported, and you can also support others. So if that sounds good for you, you can also join that group. It's a free group. It's just private because some people are sharing things about their anxieties and things like that. So do take a look at it. You'll be able to see on my page here, you'll see the group link. You can also go to tinyurl.com/create ease. It's super tiny. That's why it's called Tiny URL. Now, here's something else that a lot of people are not practicing. But as you're doing things that you might find you're not so good with, you can connect with other business partners or other friends, or you can connect with virtual assistants, or you could connect with someone on Fiverr, whatever it looks like, and have them do the task you don't want to do. And you might say, well, I don't have time to teach them. I don't have the money to pay them. It's affordable because you can actually do trade. So for example, you don't like making phone calls. So the idea is check in on why you don't like making phone calls. Because you might feel like, oh, I don't know what to say, or they're going to judge me, or I have fear of rejection, or different things going on that are about me. So if I'm instead calling for somebody else, I have none of that emotional stuff or less of it. And so I can make phone calls for them and they can make phone calls for me. There's no charge. There's no extra time because the time you're making phone calls, they're making phone calls. So that would have been the same time you needed to do anyway, or that same kind of task. So allow yourself to think about that as a potential for yourself. It's really cool. And it does really work. I'm actually doing it with some other business partners as well. And it just takes the heavy out of things. It's really great. The other thing that I do with them is I share my calendar. So that saves time. So if they're making phone calls, they can set up appointments and vice versa. So those are just a couple of tools that you can use in that regard as well. And then, like I mentioned, there are some to-do list apps that you can use that help to remind you. But for me, again, I just set the alarms on my phone. This doesn't have to be difficult. Keep it very, very simple. Now, giving yourself those breaks in your schedule, like I was talking about, there's a technique called the Pomodoro technique. And the idea is that you set aside the time you're going to do the activity, and then you set aside time for a break. And so it could look like 50 and 10 or 45 and 15, whatever time works for you. Now, some people, it needs to be 20, a break, 20, right? And so however it does work for you, then you're going, okay, that 20's on and I set the alarm and I'm not doing anything else except for that task, nothing else. Now, if you find that that task ends up leading you to something else, then you get to realize that's a twofer. That's a this task and that's a this task. And so you get to acknowledge yourself that this is a two task. And so that's okay if it needs to be, but realize this may end up taking more time than you allotted for. So then you can go, okay, so that first 20 minutes will be these two activities together. Then I take that 10-minute break. And then the next 20 minutes is to finish those two activities. Or you might say that's 40 minutes for those tasks and that's it for today. Then you can see what you get to complete the next day. So this wasn't just a one-day task or a 1-hour task. This is a 2-hour task. So you're breaking it up. You see it in your calendar. You're giving yourself and your brain whatever its capability is. Some brains have lower attention span, right? I have that. I have struggles with it, but I have learned that I can buckle down into one thing and how not to get distracted. Now I have to be very careful with that. Oh, that's my reminder to let you know. I also have Clubhouse right after this, where we do a mindset reset, but we're reading from the book, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. And so it's based on what the topic is and then how we use that in our faiths and how we use that to get ourselves back on track. And we set an intention and whoever comes to the group creates their intention for the week. So yeah, it's really great. I love it. And I invite you to it. Myself and Miriam and Brenda, we're all in there as supporting coaches. All right. So then the last couple things. We often talk about getting distracted. There are do not disturbs on phones. There are do not disturb apps you can put on your computer. There's do not disturb sign you can put on your door. There's do not disturb conversations you get to have with other people and with yourself. It's setting those boundaries. That's essential. So if you're not setting those boundaries, then distraction's happening. That is telling you, okay, so there's some boundaries I need to work on. And so as you take a look at what's going on, what's the pattern, we can break that down. We can take a look and see, and if it's something that's happening in every direction, we'll break each one of them down. And oftentimes you'll see a pattern with all of them. When I start to do this, I get up and go to do that. When I start to do this, I go into this other thing and do that. When I start to, it's sometimes just one thing, maybe paperwork, maybe needing to make phone calls, whatever that one thing is. And that's again where we need to take a look at, there's some resistance going on there. This isn't just a distraction. This is some uncomfortable resistance that's in your coping, is to distract. And so we get to take a look at what's that resistance, what's going on there, what's this creating, so we can remove a lot of that. So then there's less need to distract away from it. So then you're feeling calmer, then you're feeling safer. The idea is allowing yourself, and this is the last piece, embrace the fact that you're not the same as everybody else. How you see somebody else doing something may not be the way for you to do it. There's different ways you can break things down to help your learning, to help your focus, to help remove your resistances. Embrace that fact. And as you're embracing that fact, accept that there's some ways that you get to shift, to change your focus, to shift and change your clarity. So you're accomplishing what matters to you. You're helping yourself feel really good about yourself because you're accomplishing all the things that you get to accomplish, and you're creating the proper expectations, right? And the biggest thing is to take a look at the end of the day to see what you accomplished and acknowledge yourself. Stepping into, I feel good about the things I did today. I feel satisfied with what I got done today. And if you're going, I'm not satisfied with what I've done any day, ever. That's where we get to do the work. That's just mindset. That's not the truth. You're getting so much done. You're taking care of yourself. You're accomplishing things in your life. So you can allow yourself at the end of your day, this new mindset that says, I'm satisfied with that. I am. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful for my abilities. I'm grateful for today that I gave 100%. And I know I'm adding some bonuses on here. You might think that one day or several days is not 100% because it feels different, or because you're tired, or because you had a headache, or just because you don't feel as focused. If you're doing your best, you're at 100%. Don't doubt that. Now, today's 100%, even for me, I have an awful headache, so I'm not thinking as clearly. I'm not on the ball as well, but I am giving 100% of what I can give today. Now, today's 100% looks different than yesterday's 100%. Absolutely. So we could say that maybe it's looking like 80 today, but I'm giving 100% of that 80, right? You are giving your 100%, so don't knock it. And if you find I'm just not really focused at all, I'm hardly giving nothing, then maybe you need to allow yourself some recoup time, and you need to invest into that 100%. So give yourself permission to take a look at your day and acknowledge what you've accomplished. I hope these things have helped you. I hope that you can see you can apply them both personally and professionally, and that you get to separate those. I work from home. I have to separate them. And I'll tell you, my husband has had to help me with that and literally get on my case, because he was perceiving the time that I was so focused on working and not stopping was that I didn't want to spend time with him. And that's what I was saying, even though that's not what I meant. So it's important you separate those two, because even if you don't have your husband saying those things, or you're not even in a relationship, you deserve that time to recoup. You must have it. It's essential. That's how you take care of your mind, your body, your spirit. That's how you stay in alignment. That's how you create that harmony and that balance. All right? All right, you guys, I appreciate you. The fact that you are here, the fact that you listen to this says so much about your development and your growth. and your desire, and just stepping into life and enjoying it even more. Bring it in. Big squishy hugs for health. You take care of you and know that you're loved. I'll talk to you next week. Let me know your questions. Let me know your concerns. And I look forward to seeing you in just a minute on Clubhouse. And what you do, if you've never been to Clubhouse, you send me a message and you let me know. You see my contact information over here, or you can DM me. You let me know, hey, I'd like to come to your Clubhouse, but I can't get in. I could send you an invite. It's an invite app. I think that's just to make people more excited to want to get in. But either way, it worked. So more people are excited to get in. And then just let me know, hey, I need to get in there. And so then you, if I remember correctly, you click in and you're able to come right to the group and you create your profile and it's all free. So just let me know. And if you guys are already in there, just look for Mindset Reset Wednesday. And then you'll see myself, you'll see Miriam, and you'll see Brenda. And I'm jumping in there right now, so you'll see me right now. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. You take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Bye for now.